All right. So, Mr. Gray, thank you for being with us today. So before we jump into the questions, I want to give you just a couple of minutes to tell everyone about yourself and who you are in your campaign.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Hello, East Montgomery County. My name is Matt Gray. I live here in Porter. I'm a dad, a husband. Got 4 beautiful children. Grew up here in New Caney. Been a lifelong resident, and I felt the call to step up. I saw where I felt like my leadership could be put to good use, and we could really bring some parts of this county and community together and make some differences, not only with the go forward plan, but with the drainage and the mobility and different issues that we're facing with all the growth that we're seeing in this area. So a little bit more about my background, sports with the kids, and things like that in the past time, just like a normal person or regular dad or husband would do. As far as education, graduated from New Caney High School, graduate of Sam Houston State University, got my PMP, Project Management Professional Accreditation, started studies on construction science, master's in science and construction management at Texas State University, and then the professional experience, 15 years in oil and gas. And I currently sit as the project manager over on the ISD for maintenance. And yeah.
So how did your current work experience translate over to the job of commissioner?
So the current work experience and the past work experience entailed a lot of pressure. It entailed working with the team. It entailed working with high performing teams and managing people, managing high pressure situations, high pressure projects, and delivering. Whether I was an expert or not, we got the right people and we got the job done. One of the first jobs that I had when I was still working offshore and working rigs, where I wasn't hands-on anymore, was called a performance pusher, an operations engineer, performance engineer. So my job was to make the operation run more efficient. And so I just compounded on top of that with the project management and rolling out projects, and just refined it and got better and better throughout the career. But you know, the job title, I mean, that tells you a lot just right there from the very start. And as far as the current position, like I mentioned, project manager over a school district. It's a public position. It's a public paid position. Deal with government procurement, public monies. Sit on bond advisory committees. Everything that you deal with as a commissioner would want to deal with or need to deal with as a commissioner, I've dealt with in some capacity, shape, or form. That's molded me and prepared to take on this challenge. So I think that's how it all ties into the commissioner position. And
so the next thing I want to ask is the primary duties of the commissioner is roads and bridges. Mm-hmm. So what are the big road and bridge projects and issues that you see in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I took some notes and I jotted some things down. So 5 to 10 years is a pretty good look ahead for anything or anyone, anywhere. The amount of growth that we're seeing right now and how far behind we are, I can speak on now and what we'll need to focus on coming up. But first and foremost, I'll state we need to get all the roads completed from the bond we passed in 2015. It was a $280 million bond that passed in Montgomery County. We got the second largest amount, $68 million here in Precinct 4. Had roads on like Sorters Road, Ford Road, Gene Campbell, Community Drive, just to name a few. 105 was in there. And my goal getting in as commissioner would be to push those projects through and get them out of our queue and open that traffic up. But just to name a few of the other major state roads, we've got to do something with 494, 2090 is such a mess over there. There's so many folks over there. If you've driven over there recently, you know how bad it is trying to get out of there, out of Splendora on the east side with the traffic and the growth they're about to experience. On 2090 West, 105 is a big issue. 1485 West, the traffic's only getting worse. Coming from New Caney, where Gene Campbell is, all the 18-wheeler traffic. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure there will be a lot more. And the traffic over by Caney Creek High School in that area is a big challenge for people that live around there. As far as the local roads that we need to focus on, or I think I will be focusing on as commissioner as well, one of the big tasks will be to try to alleviate a lot of the traffic around the schools. So, and traffic where it's been a problem and the people need some relief, not just where development is planned to happen. I think we need to focus on these areas, especially where there's a lot of children. And I've identified some of those places. Fostoria is a big one, not so much for the school, but I know those folks are in bad need of an overhaul of Fostoria. I think Tram Road will be an issue. Dog Collins. You've got the elementary and the middle school over off Old Sorters. That's a pretty dangerous road. Knox and Adams Street over there goes back into Woodridge, and Woodridge Middle School, we're having accidents on the train tracks almost weekly over there. We've got to do something about that. Gene Campbell is on this bond, and there's some work going on now, but I'm not even sure what to say about it. I think that'll probably have to be opened all the way up because it converges on both ends of it and goes to widens out with the middle lane, you know, after you come down a mile or two. On the other side of the town, you've got neighborhoods that are backed off the railroad tracks, and it's only got one way in, one way out. Woodson Road and Tamna Road, that whole area, it gets very congested there. We don't hear about that a lot on this side of the all the way east, but that's still part of our precinct, and we've got to service those people and service that area and the drainage and the roads. And they're developing over there as well, just like they are here, just like we're seeing in Porter, New Caney, Splendora, these other areas. They're doing the same thing. So we've got to pay close attention to that and take care of those folks. Sorters Road, hopefully that, like I said, that's on the bond. Hopefully that takes off pretty soon. But we're building a brand new high school further up the street, which falls under a different ETJ, but we're going to have to find a way to negotiate some kind of package to where we can get that taken care of all the way down in front of our schools. We've got a lot of money wrapped up in, or public money's wrapped up in schools and education on Sorters Road. So we need to do our best to manage that and make sure it's as safe as possible. And yeah, I think that covers most of the ones.
That's a big list.
yeah, it's a lot. I don't know if I mentioned the Old Houston, the other half of Old Houston Road. That'll be a big one. I think I said Tram, but Hill and Dell, all the people, all the growth back there towards the Rio Vista area. And the back of Tram, they come out of Peach Creek and all through there and through Splendora to come out and try to cut through there. I mean,
and it's the growth that's driving this.
Yeah, it's the growth. Absolutely, it's the growth. Of course, it'd be easier to get a handle on it if we weren't growing so fast. Fun fact for you, and go ahead and fact check it, but there are more energy hookups through Entergy in East Montgomery County than in the entire state of Arkansas. So to say we're growing fast is the understatement of the century. So yeah, we've got to get to work on these roads and get to work on this drainage. So yeah, it's a long list, and that's just on the short side. You know, and you asked me for 5 or 10 years. There's no telling. So.
So all of these projects cost money, obviously, and each commissioner gets the same exact amount of funds to handle the roads and bridges in their precinct. So how are you going to use those funds, as well as work with local and state leaders, to fund these projects?
Well, we get a road fund, a road and bridge fund, and it depends on what the commissioner and the staff applies it to. my road fund will be applied to the roads. And I think we'll have to get in, obviously there are road bonds that they pass, so like previous commissioners have done, we'll work with TxDOT and work with the state to get some of these state roads and those thoroughfares redone and widened. And we'll just have to partner up and team up with the municipalities when and where we can, depending on the agency and who it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, with these road projects also comes drainage.
Yeah.
Flooding is a big problem in East Montgomery County. What are you going to do to help improve drainage? What are the big improvements you think need to be made to the drainage plan, and how would you help residents with that?
So drainage is the #1 problem facing Montgomery County, and we've got to have a plan. And just saying I'm running for commissioner and going to fix the drainage, or anyone saying they're just going to fix the drainage or working on it, isn't a good enough answer anymore. So what I'm proposing and what I'm coming forward to you with running for commissioner is to have a plan. It's not rocket science. I wish we were in a good enough spot, but to where I'd love to have an interactive map, and then everyone would know what areas we're focusing on. But I'm thinking also, if we not teamed up, but don't avoid the elephant in the room about all the development and the developers, the permits. I mean, we've got to protect these people's investments. We've got families that have lived here for generations, and they're going and developing right next door. If you go across from Dock Collins on Huff Road, those folks can stand out in their yard, and it's built up to window level, and people are scared. I mean, who wouldn't be? I'd be scared. Anyone would be scared with any sense. With that kind of development, no swells cut, there were no ditches cut. And what I'm getting at as commissioner, my plan will be, let's pull the permits, let's look at the permits and the development. I mean, Texas is a right to work state. We live in a free country, so you can still come in and develop and make your money and however you're planning to do it, but we can work around that and make sure the drainage is draining in the surrounding areas around the development. I'm not saying we're working for the developer, not even necessarily with the developer, we're just working to protect your investment and the homeowners, people around that area. So I think that'll be the big plan. You know, I like to take a proactive versus a reactive approach. And that's somewhat proactive because you're planning for it, planning to work around that, but we're still reacting to what's happening, happening to us in our environment. So, but ultimately the plan would be to stage out the county to where we would go work and take care of an entire area, and kind of so people would know when to expect us to work on the drainage in that area and plan for it. And the amount of equipment we've got at Precinct 4, it's no problem to run work orders and work on the 911 stuff, culverts and culvert sets, and just the bad drainage areas. So, got a pretty comprehensive plan, obviously. I only know so much and can do so much as a candidate, but once we get in the seat, we'll get you taken care of.
Now, you previously talked about expanding the work week at Precinct 4.
Yep.
How do you think the current operations are run at the Precinct 4 Commissioner's Office, and how would you change or improve them?
Yeah, so currently they're working a 4-day work week. And when you walk in to the, to the office, you're met with a plexiglass. It just doesn't seem very inviting. When I'm running this county as commissioner, I want it to be open. You can come in, come up to the counter, meet with my staff, meet with myself, and us discuss what issues are going on. How else are you going to know what's happening if you're not talking with the public and with the people that voted you in, essentially, and even the ones that didn't? You know, they're all your constituents. So I think it's important to have an open relationship with the public, transparent, and to be there 5 days a week. I don't feel like it's any more efficient, and you're not gaining anything else trying to work 410s. It comes down to staging out your work, good communication, good leadership, good supervisors, and a great team from the top down. You work a 5-day work week, and then when you're working on one part of town, the county owns plenty of property, there's plenty of places to park and leave the equipment to where it's safe. And I'm here to tell you there's enough vehicles and enough supervisor vehicles that are big enough to get the crew back across town to your vehicle. And it just comes down to staging and planning. We're going to get more done on a 5-day work week. It's just a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. I would love to see or hear someone's argument to where they would make an argument on a 4-day work week that ran any kind of construction or dirt work company or anything else for that matter. I just want to run an efficient operation, whether it was a private company or a public company like this or working for the county. It needs to be as efficient as possible to where you're getting the most bang for your buck, whether it's your buck or tax money or whatever it is. So we will be going back to a 5-day work week for sure.
Is there anything else in particular you would like the citizens to know about you, your campaign, or the office?
Yeah, so the campaign's going well. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys if I have it. I'm even kill. I've heard some of the funny things. Well, I'll tell you one of the funniest questions I get, one of the first questions I get, how old are you? I guess my campaign picture looks young. I'm 40 years old. I'm plenty old enough and have plenty of experience to do the job that we need done. And I'm excited about doing it. I'm passionate about doing it. I'm passionate about working with the community leaders, the school districts, the school superintendents, Splendor ISD, Conroe ISD, and New Caney ISD, and MSED, and all the associations. Let's get the left hand talking to the right hand, and the commissioner, myself, needs to be involved, when we pass these school bonds, or these individuals and this leadership needs to be involved with me in my office when we're passing our road bonds. It all needs to be cohesive and working together for the betterment of East Montgomery County and this area, for our senior people, for our people my age, and for our kids. So that's what I'm excited about. And yeah, so check us out on Facebook. We've got a page. I usually update it with what's going on, what we've been doing, clips of some of the forums, some of the meetings, the town halls. We've got a forum here on February 8th at Bull Salas. We'll all be there and taking questions from the public. If you have questions for me, you can email me directly or reach out. I'll take them. And yeah, the website's Matt. If you're not on Facebook, we've got a website, Matt Gray PCT4 for Precinct4.com. Matt Gray PCT4.com. I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to getting in there. I'm looking forward to serving, and I want to get it running how I think it should be running, and I think you'll be proud. So I thank you, ma'am, for having me and the interview and the time to explain my position and where I stand on this stuff. So,
all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Gray.
All right, East Montgomery County, Matt Gray signing off.